Now, during your time in Kansas City, you were there for 4 years. 3 of those years, you were named an NBA All-Star, and you also, you're part of a team that went to the Western Conference Finals in 1981 against, the Houston Rockets. Now, you go through that situation. Now you're a free agent. What was the free agent process for you like? And you were at that time the highest paid, or you signed as the highest paid guard in NBA history, $1 million contract. What led up to that, and what was that process like for you?
The year that I was in my last contract, the timing was just right. In fact, Cotton Fitzsimmons came to me. David Thompson was the highest paid player in the league at that time. He was making $700,000 a year. And Kansas City, they really was kind of unstable. They didn't have a lot of money, but I really wanted to stay in Kansas City. I really did. And so Cotton said, Otis, we don't have a lot of money, but what we want to do is we want to offer you like $600,000 a year. And I said, now let me see. David making 700. He's the highest paid. I said, I just had my career high on David. I just dropped 49 on him. No, we're not going for 600. And so at the time, it was the right of first refusal. This was the first year that this policy was in effect, which means that you could sign with any team for any amount of money, and your team that you're currently playing for have an opportunity to match it. Well, Kansas City, they don't have any money. If you go past 600,000, they're not going to be able to match.
Right.
And Ted Stepien, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers at the time, he signed me, and Bob Wolf was negotiating. He really wanted me. And he said, well, we're going to pay you $1 million a year. How you going to say no to that? Not only that, he signed Scott Wedman. He signed James Edwards. He signed Bobby Wilkerson. All of these great players, starters for their teams. I'm like, and I had a sister in Cleveland. I'm like, it's going to be great. And I love the arena. I always had great games in Cleveland at that arena, that old arena that they used to have. I said, I'm out of here. I want to stay in Kansas City, though. I wanted to stay. But they didn't have the monies, and it showed because as soon as I signed, Scotty left, and then Sam ended up being traded to New Jersey, and Phil was gone. They just didn't have the resources, and then eventually the team was gone. But we were in the Western Conference Finals. If we had kept that team together, I do believe we could have eventually. In fact, we were good enough to go to the finals that year. The Houston Rockets with Moses Malone beat us. They beat us. We beat them during the regular season 4-2 because they were in our division. We beat them 4-2. We played them 6 times. Phil Ford and I just gave their guards fits. And but I had a severely sprained ankle.
Okay.
During that playoff run. I came back, but I wasn't 100%. Phil Ford had eye surgery. His eye socket was broken. He got a thumb in his eye socket. He missed the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He shouldn't have played against the Rockets. He couldn't see out of one eye. So they just got on that blind side, and he couldn't see. And he was scared to go to the basket. He couldn't shoot. And Dale Harris, who was the assistant coach, every time he sees me to this day, he tells me, Otis, if you and Phil had been healthy, there's no way we beat you all in the Western Conference Finals. There's just no way. Because we beat them 4 out of 6 during the regular season. They just couldn't do nothing with us. But it was just meant for them to go. And Moses was a monster, man.
Yeah, he was. Now, tell us a little bit about the transition from Cleveland to the Nets. How was
What ended up happening was I signed with Cleveland, and Kansas City matched the offer, even though they couldn't afford it. Wow. And they traded me to New Jersey. They traded me for Mike Woodson and draft picks or something. I don't know what it was. But I ended up going to New Jersey. And those were tough of the most toughest 7 years I ever had. In fact, I was in New Jersey for 7 years, and I played for 5 different coaches.
Wow.
The only good thing happened in New Jersey was Sean and Sydney was born. But playing for that team, I mean, Michael Ray, I met Michael there, and he and I are good friends to this day. But besides that, playing for 5 different coaches in 7 years, that's 5 different systems. And all of the great players that came through there that they traded, I mean, it was just hard. It was so unstable. Whereas in Kansas City, it was just so stable. They were trading players every week. Somebody new was coming in, and coaches were going. It was really hard. It was really hard to perform in New Jersey.